Hello everyone, Michael back with another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your gallery look like an Excel grid in PowerApps. If you enjoy PowerApps, SharePoint, Power Automate, Teams, and Power BI videos, feel free to subscribe because we put out more videos. So let's get into the video. You want to make your gallery in PowerApps look like an Excel grid. So I will be working with my employee data list in SharePoint. I'll just be pulling probably around 5 fields, maybe 6, into my Power App. So I have a new screen here, and we're going to go ahead and make the headers for this. So we just want to make a text label, and let me see if my employee data is in the Power App. It is. So if my employee data wasn't connected to my Power App and I wanted to use the data, I would just go here, type in SharePoint, scroll down until you see SharePoint, use your connection, and then you would enter your SharePoint URL and then find your list that you want to work with. But since my list is already here, we can work with it. So I want to make these headers at the top. So I will make the position 0, 0. And if you have like a header up here, so let's say I just have like a rectangle, and most of the time there's like a header that will just display like the Power App name. So I guess we'll keep that up there just to keep it looking nice. So we'll put all the headers right below this rectangle. And let's make this height 40, 0, 0. And I want to make the Y position right underneath this rectangle. So if I go to label 3 and go to Y, we just want to do rectangle 1 dot height, because that will put the position underneath this height. And we will want to make this width. So let's do 5 columns. So the width would be parent dot width times 0.2. So think about it like 0.2 times 5 is 1. And this full screen is 1. If I copied this component 5 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's go ahead and rename these. So label first name, and you can't see this, so let me move my camera. We've labeled first name. We'll do label last name. So these two, job title, label skill, then label start date. Okay, so first name will be first, last name will come right after. So for the X, you would want to do label first name dot X plus label first name dot width. So that'll place it right after your first name label. And then for the job title, I want to do under the X value label last name dot X plus label last name dot width. I'm just going to copy that to make it quicker. So this will be the job title since it comes right after the job title. And this one will be skill. Let's go ahead and select all of our components. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can do that by holding down Control and clicking your left click button. And I want to align that text in the center. Let's make it bold. And I want to give it a border of 1. So now you can see we have our headers right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in with the correct text. So first name, last name, job title, skill, and start date. Okay, so now we need to make the gallery to actually hold the data. So I'm going to go to Insert, Layout, and this is going to be a vertical gallery. Okay, so let's go into the X value. So I want to make this 0, so it's at the most left-hand side of the screen. And for the Y, I'm going to do label first name dot height plus, actually you can probably do dot Y plus label first name dot height. So it's taking the Y value of where it is at the screen, so that would be right here, and then it's adding the height. So the height's 40, so it's adding that, and it will be right underneath it. And I do that so if you move any of the other properties, the gallery will always follow. And let's go ahead and make the gallery extend all the way to the bottom. So we will do parent dot height minus the rectangle at the top. So I want to subtract that height. And then I also want to subtract the header height. We'll just do label first name dot height. Now you can see it is taking up the whole canvas. So it's under the height property. And then for the width, I want to send it all the way across. So I'm just going to do parent.width. All right. So let's go ahead and go into the gallery. It has a few components already in here. So separator, next arrow, subtitle, title, and image. I'm going to go ahead and remove everything besides the separator. So now we just have blank rows. And I want to go ahead and insert text inputs. So let me go ahead and insert 5 of these. And we're just going to rename these. So text input, first name, last name. And it's pretty important to label your components because if you don't, it could get really messy and you'll have a hard time identifying what is what. So that's why when I insert components or pieces of my Power App, I always like to label them so I know what I'm working with. Start date. And I know I'm probably not saying these properties right because you have a different thing for components, but when I talk about components, it's anything in the insert. So it could be like a gallery, an input. So that's what I use for components. I find it the easiest. All right, so we want this to be starting at the left hand side. So for my first name, I want to go to the X value and set this to 0. And for the width, I actually want it to match the header. So I'm going to do label first name dot width. And so this will always be the width of your header. Even if I change the header property to like 100 width, it's going to change with that. And I'm going to do that for everyone else of these. So since this is the second column, the last name, I need to set this to start after the first name. So we're going to go to the X and do label first name dot X plus label first name dot width. So it's going to appear right after your first column. And I want to set this width to the header. So it's going to be label last name dot width, and I'm going to do that for the rest of these. So for job title, you want to go to the X, label last name dot X plus label last name dot width. I'm going to set the width to label job title dot width. So we're going to go to scale next. And now that I'm thinking about it, you can just do label scale dot X, so it always starts wherever your label header is. So I'm going to do that going forward. And if you want to change the other ones, you can. Let's go ahead and do start date. And I need to make these widths match the header. So we're going to go to width, label scale.width. And for the start date, I'm going to do the same. Label start date dot width. All right, so now you see the Y's are all different. So I want to go ahead and set all these Y's to 0. I'm going to click on each of them, go to the Y, and set that to 0. So they're all aligned with each other. And since we're here, also going to go to the, can't see it because my camera's in the way. So the border radius, I'm going to set that to 0. Just to make the edges touch each other. If they're not, the border radius is like 5, they'll go inside a little bit, but at 0, they're all going to be pretty straight. And I want to set this gallery to template height, so template size. I want to set this to 40. So let's go ahead and start inserting some data. So in my gallery settings, gallery 2, for the items, I want the employee data list. So employee data. And now for the first name on the default property, I want to set this to this item dot title, because that's the first name in my employee data SharePoint list. Go to last name, go to the default property, this item dot last name, job title, and this is a choice field, so it needs to be job title dot value. Scale, this item dot scale. I think this is a multiple choice column. All right, so since skill was a multiple choice column, it needed to be the default concat, this item dot skill, the value, and that's separated by a comma space. And you might run into this issue if you have multiple choice fields. So just be aware when you try to do, let's say, this item dot skill, it's going to give you an error because there's multiple, it's an array pretty much. So it has multiple values within that field. So you have to concatenate all those values to produce an output. And start date, it's going to go default. This item dot start date. Let's increase the template size to 80. And then I need to increase all the text inputs to the template height of the gallery. So the height property, and we're going to do gallery2 dot template height, make these all match with 80. So now, as you can see, we have an Excel-like grid for our Power App. And if you want to go in and patch some of these, you can go ahead and do that. That's a little more complicated, and maybe I'll make another video about that. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. So if you have like longer data fields than this, you might have to adjust the sizes for each or use a flexible gallery. So just be aware, you might have to make the template height bigger or make the font smaller. So that's how you make your Power App gallery look like an Excel grid. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is more like an intermediate video. You have to at least know what you're doing in Power Apps to like understand how to navigate around. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you like the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one.